Today, we're cracking open a small but incredibly powerful book from 1944 that has fascinated people for decades. It's called Feeling is the Secret by Neville Goddard.
Let's just kick things off with a huge question. Can your feelings actually shape your reality? And I don't mean just, changing your mood for the day. I mean, can they literally change the facts of your life?
It's a pretty wild thought, right? Well, way back in 1944, this writer, Neville Goddard, made a claim that was even bolder. He didn't just say feelings can shape reality. He said they are the only thing that does.
Okay, so how on earth is that supposed to work? To get it, we have to start with his foundation, his core principle, what he calls the law of consciousness.
This quote right here is the bedrock of his whole philosophy. What he's saying is that everything you see, everything you experience out in the world, it's just your own consciousness pushed out and made solid. It's not that your mind affects reality. He's saying your mind is the only reality.
So, to use this law, Goddard says we need to understand that our consciousness has two distinct parts, and he uses a metaphor that was common in his time to explain them.
Okay, so he breaks consciousness into two. First, there's the conscious mind, which he calls the male aspect. This is the part that thinks, plans, and generates ideas. It's selective. It chooses what you want. Then there's the subconscious, the female aspect. He says this part is completely non-selective. It doesn't judge. Its only job is to take the ideas it's given and bring them to life. Think of it this way. The conscious mind is the architect that draws the blueprint, and the subconscious is the builder who constructs it exactly as drawn, no questions asked.
All right, so you've got the idea generator and you've got the master builder. How do they talk to each other? How does the blueprint get from the architect to the construction site? Well, this brings us to the absolute heart of the book, the power of feeling. It's the bridge between the two minds.
We all do it, right? We have goals, dreams, things we want to achieve. That's our conscious mind doing its job, deciding what ideas and objectives to focus on.
But here's the million-dollar question. How do you take that idea and actually plant it in the subconscious, that creative fertile ground, so it can actually start to grow into a reality? And this is the secret the book is named after. According to Goddard, it's not willpower. It's not just thinking really hard. It's feeling. He was convinced that feeling is the only language the subconscious mind understands. It's the only way to get a message through.
So when Goddard talks about impressing the subconscious, he doesn't mean forcing it. He means getting the subconscious to accept your desire as a fact that's already true. And the way you do that is by generating the genuine, authentic feeling of what it would be like if your wish was already fulfilled.
This leads to a really simple but incredibly profound conclusion. If your feeling is what plants the seed in the creative subconscious, then changing your feeling is literally changing your destiny. It's that direct.
Okay, that's the theory, and it's pretty mind-bending. But how do you actually do it? Let's get into the practical side of things. Goddard lays out two main techniques for getting access to that powerful subconscious mind.
He calls them two gateways, sleep and prayer. Now, what both of these have in common is that they're states where our conscious, logical, and often doubtful mind quiets down, which leaves the subconscious wide open and ready to listen.
Let's dive into the first one, the sleep technique. Goddard believed sleep was the natural door into the subconscious. You know that hazy, super relaxed state you're in just before you drift off? He said that is the perfect moment to impress your desire.
And the process he lays out is pretty straightforward. First, get crystal clear on what you want. Second, ask yourself, what would it actually feel like if this were true right now? Then, as you're lying there relaxing, you fully embody that feeling. You don't just think about it, you wear it. The goal is to fall asleep completely wrapped up in that sensation of your wish being fulfilled.
Now for the second gateway, which he calls prayer. Then this is really important. This isn't about asking some outside force for a favor. For Goddard, prayer is about intentionally creating a similar sleepy, passive, meditative state while you're still awake. The whole point is to tune out the distractions from your five senses so you can focus entirely on your inner world.
And you'll see the steps are almost identical. You get comfortable and relax, you let yourself drift into a drowsy, passive state, and then, this is the key, you consciously disregard what your eyes and ears are telling you about your current situation. In that quiet mental space, you assume the feeling of your wish fulfilled and hold it there until it starts to feel more real than anything else.
So if we take all of this, the theory, the techniques, and we boil it all down to one single core instruction,
It's this. You have to assume your wish is already fulfilled. It's all about this subtle but absolutely game-changing shift in your mindset. You have to stop wanting something in the future and start being the person who already has it right here and now. And this chart really hits it home. See, if you're feeling I will be successful, you are actually confessing to your subconscious that I am not successful right now. But if you can generate the feeling of I am successful, you are sending a totally different message. You're telling it, my wish is fulfilled. That's the feeling that creates.
This quote here basically packages the entire method into one powerful sentence. It's a two-step process. First, deny what your senses are telling you. Second, claim the feeling of the wish fulfilled as your own. That's the path.
So when all is said and done, the big takeaway from feeling as the secret is this. Your inner world of feeling isn't just some reaction to the outside world. No, according to Goddard, it's the actual creative pattern, the very blueprint from which your entire outer world is built.
And that leaves us with one final, pretty powerful question to think about. If you accepted, just for a moment, that your feeling was the only creative power, what reality would you start creating for yourself tonight?